When I was visiting this website, I found that when you select any text, you will be able to share it with different social media. So I thought, why don't we create our own version of it? So in this video, with the help of Vanilla JavaScript, I'll show you how to share selected text with different social media and also sort same selected text with different search engine. Without further ado, let's start. Hello and namaste everyone. This is Jitsaru with Coding Design. Welcome to our channel. If you are new here, please be sure to hit that subscribe button. This is the code that I have taken from the old videos. Let's check out result with the help of Live Server extension. As you can see, lots of things are going on. First of all, you can see a scrollable progress bar. And based on your scroll behavior, you will be able to show and hide your navigation bar. Similarly, I have also given the countdown timer. And you can see if user they are not uploading any profile picture, then based on their username, unique user profile picture is generated. And oh, it's responsive, isn't it cool? So if you are interested in building all these projects, then playlist link will be given in the description below. You can check out. But if you don't want, then you can just create simple page with any paragraphs or any headings. But at least there must be some text that you would like to share with social media. So in this video, I'm gonna use this text. Okay. So it's the separate video. Let's give the different title. I'm giving share selected text with social media using JavaScript. So if I scroll down within this main element, let's create div with class name share buttons. Within that div, you can give different social media icons. For that, you can use different third-party libraries. But I want to use some SVG image. For that, I'm visiting this website called svgrepo.com, where you can find more than 500,000 SVG vector and icons. Now with the help of that search bar, if I search a specific brand's name, so what if I search Reddit? Let's go to that icon tab. I want to use this icon. So with the help of that right click, you can just copy the link of that image. Now in our index.html file, let's create image element. For the source, let's paste the link that we have copied. Now for the alt attribute, we'll give the same brand name. Similarly, let's create another image element. Let's search the search engine name DuckDuckGo. I want this image, so let's copy the image link and I'm pasting that same link within that source. Similarly, for the alt attribute, again, I'm giving that same DuckDuckGo, and along with that, let's give extra attribute title and I'm giving their shorts. Now with the help of that attribute, you'll be able to get default tooltip that browser supports. Now with the help of that same website, I'm giving 3 different social media SVG icons. In order to save some time, I'm just copying and pasting these codes. As you can see, we are giving the Facebook, Twitter and WhatsApp logo. You can bring that code one step down. And if you look at the browser, did you see that huge brand logo? Now I need to give proper size for these images. As you can see, all these images, they are located within the div with class name share buttons. And also, as you can see, I have already linked the standard CSS file. So now within the standard CSS file, we'll install that image that is within our div with class name share button. So for that image, I'm giving width of 1.8 rem. Now you can see 5 different logo. And I'm giving cursor to pointer so that when you take your mouse near to that logo, you will be able to get that pointing hand icon. Similarly, let's give some gap. For that, I'm giving margin. I'm giving top and bottom to 0. For the left and right, 0.2 rem. Similarly, you can duplicate the same code and bring it down there. Now when you hover that image, at that time, let's give scale to 1.2. Now you can see when you hover this logo, you will be able to get bigger version, but there is no any smooth transition. So for that, for our image, let's give the transition. I'm giving duration of 0.2 second. And for the timing function, let's give is. Now you can see that smooth transition. Similarly, I want some extra gap between our WhatsApp and DuckDuckGo logo. So for that, for the image, I'm giving pseudo class last child. Let's give margin left to 1 rem. So now you can see that extra gap. Now let's style that div with class name share buttons. I'm giving background color. For the background color, let's create separate CSS variable. So now within that root pseudo class, let's declare variable name share button color. Let's give void. And now I'm using the same CSS variable share button color. Similarly, let's give some padding. I'm giving 0.8 rem. And also I want to give rounded corners. For that, let's give border radius of 0.5 rem. Now you can duplicate the same code and bring it down there. For that class share button, I want to give before pseudo element. Let's give position of absolute. For the content, I'm giving empty string. But remember, for before pseudo element, it is compulsory to give that content property. Otherwise, you won't be able to create that before pseudo element. Now I want to give border. For the width, let's give 10 pixel. For the border style, solid, and for the color, transparent, and also let's give border top color. For now I'm giving red. Now it's kind of a trick with the help of which you will be able to create triangle shape. Now let's take it to the proper position. I'm giving left to 50%, and if I give transform translate x to minus 50%, then you will be able to get that red triangle horizontally centered. And if I give bottom, for the bottom value, let's give the exact double value that we have gave for our border width, and also that must be negative. So I'm giving minus 20 pixel. I want to bring that red triangle to the bottom, but now you can't see that triangle. So for the class share button, let's give the position of fixed. And now everything is gone. It's because, as you can see, I have even the G index for other elements. So because of that, it is taken just backside of these elements. So if I give a bit higher G index value, and if I give top to 0, now you can see you'll be able to get that share buttons, and also you can see that red triangle as well. Let's change that red color to, let's give that same share button color variable. I don't know, there shouldn't be any gap, but I can see a little bit of gap. So let's change that bottom minus 20 to minus 19 pixel. Okay, this is all the design that I'm giving for our share buttons. Now whenever you select this text, you must be able to show and hide these share buttons. So for that, I'm going to use JavaScript code. So as you can see, I have already linked the script.js file, and now within our script.js file, we need to select these elements, that is the div with class name share buttons, all these images. Now by giving this specific class name shareable text area, I'm trying to restrict the user from sharing random text. So now you will be able to share only those texts whose parents contain the class name shareable text area. So again, we need to select all these div with class name shareable text area. In our script.js file, let's create constant variable shareable text areas. And I'm assigning document.querySelector all. I'm giving their query selector all because I want to select all the div with class name shareable text area. Similarly, I'm using their comma so that I don't have to use that constant keyword multiple times. Let's create another variable named share buttons, and I'm assigning document.querySelector. So now we are selecting the div with class name share buttons. Now we need to iterate all these shareable text areas. For that, I'm using for of loop. You can write something like for shareable text area of shareable text areas. So now shareable text area that represents the specific element, and for that element we can give the event listener. I'm writing dot add event listener, so we are listening to the mouse of event. And for the second parameter, let's give the function name show share button, but we haven't created that function, so let's create that function name show share button. Before that, let's create the separate variable name selected text. Now within that function name show share button, we can assign new value for our variable name selected text. Let's give window dot get selection. So now with the help of this method, you will be able to get the selected text. And now let's change it to a string. So I'm writing dot to a string. Now with the help of this code, you will be able to get this selected text. And as soon as when you select any text, now you have to show and hide your share buttons. For that, I'm giving if condition. So within that if condition, you can write something like selected text dot length. Now with the help of this code, you will be able to check whether the user they did select any text or not. So now within that condition, you can take this variable name share buttons, and I can write something like dot class list dot add. So we are adding the extra class name so for our share buttons, something like this. So now whenever you are adding class so for the div with class name share buttons, in our established CSS file, you can write something like initially for our class share button, we'll give display to none so that our share button it will be hidden, and you can duplicate the same code and bring it down there. But as soon as when you give class so for our class share button, be careful, there is no any kind of space. Now when you give class so, at that time we'll give display to block. Now in your browser, if I select this text, did you see that you will be able to get that share buttons? But I want to give a kind of animation. So for that, let's give animation. I'm giving animation name to show share button. For the duration, let's give 0.4 second. For the time function, I'm giving is in out. And let's copy that animation name. And for our keyframes, first of all, let's give the animation name. And now at 100%. Before that, initially, let's give the opacity to 0. And for our scale, I'm giving 0.3. You can copy the same code and paste it down there. Now you can change that scale and opacity to 1. Now once again in your browser, if I select text, okay, we are not getting that share button.
What?
Okay, instead of that animation timing function, let's give animation direction to forwards. Now you will be able to get that animation. What if I select these texts, which are text from restricted area? Now you can see you won't be able to get that share buttons, but as soon as when you select the text which are not restricted, you will be able to get that share buttons. Although you can get that beautiful animation with our share buttons, but I want to get that share buttons exactly at the position where we left our mouse. So for that, as you can see, for shareable text area, we have given the mouse of event and we have invoke show share button function. So within that function you can pass E that represents the event, that means mouse of event, and now with the help of that event you will be able to get the exact position of your mouse. So you can write something like share buttons dot style dot css text, and I'm assigning backtick. In your keyboard, just above the tab button or before that number 1 key, you will be able to get this symbol. So this is what you call template literals. With the help of this, you will be able to manipulate your text as well as JavaScript variable easily. Now within that backtick, I'm giving left. So be careful, this is the CSS property that I'm giving. Let's give pixel as unit, and similarly, let's give the CSS property top. And again, we are giving the pixel as CSS unit. Now we need to generate that numeric value dynamically. So now for the left and top, with the help of that event, we'll be able to get the exact position of our mouse. So you can write something like within the dollar curly bracket, I can write E dot client capital X. So for the left, I'm giving their client X, and for the top, let's give client Y. And be careful, there mustn't be any kind of white space between our CSS unit and the value that we have dynamically generated. Once again, in our browser, if I select this text, did you see that? You will be able to get that share button exactly at the position of your mouse, but I want to take it a bit up and towards the right side. So I can multiply with 0.75, and for our top value, let's multiply with 0.6. After spending 10 minutes, I have used different values and I preferred the value for the left. Let's multiply with 0.82, and for the top, let's multiply with 0.8. So once again, in our browser, if I select this text, okay, this is the exact position that I want my share buttons to be in. But when I click just outside, I want to hide these share buttons. So for that, once again, I'm writing document.addEventListener. So we are listening to the mouse down event. For the second parameter, I'm giving hide share button. But as you can see, we haven't created that function. So let's create that function name hide share button. Within that function, you can copy this whole code. So I'm giving the condition if, let's paste the code. So with the help of that .contains method, it will return the boolean value. So if that class so it contains, then it will return true. If it doesn't contain, then it will return false. So if that condition is true, then again I'm pasting the code. Now instead of adding that class so, we'll remove from the class share button. And also let's release the selected text from our memory. Okay, so for that you can just copy and paste this code. Now instead of that toString method, you can give empty method. So in your browser, if I select this code, you see that you will be able to get that beautiful share button with animation. And if I just click outside, it's gone. So this is exactly what I want. But I have noticed there, when you click any specific social media icons, our share buttons, it will disappear. But I don't want that. In order to prevent that, first of all, let's create constant variable shared list, and I'm assigning array. Within that, let's give the different social media name that we have used. And now within our if condition, you can give another extra condition. So I'm using the AND operator. So both this condition that should be true. Now you can write something like shared list dot includes. As you can see, we have used their mouse down event. So within that hide share button, again, I can pass the E as event. And with the help of that event, you can write something like E.target. So now with the help of that E.target, you will be able to get the exact element that you have clicked. So now you can write there target.alt. As you can see in our index.html file, for all the images, I have given their extra attribute alt, and within that I have given different value based on our different social media icons. So now with the help of this code, I'm trying to check the social media icon that I have clicked, is that included within our shared list or not. But if it includes, we'll show our share buttons. Otherwise we need to hide it. Okay, so now we need to just invert that code. For that I can give their exclamation sign. Now once again in our browser, we click any specific icon, you see that you won't be able to hide that share buttons. This is exactly what I want. But again, we are just displaying social media icons. Whenever you are clicking any social media icon, it's doing nothing. Okay, so let's keep the proper functionality. For that we need to select all these social media icon and iterate it. So once again, for that, as you can see, I have already selected that div with class name share buttons. Within that, there are multiple images, so we can select all these images. So I am writing share button dot query selector all. So we are selecting all the images that is within our class share button, and we need to iterate it. For that, I'm using for each function, and for each icon or image, I'm representing it as share button. And now within the callback, again I can write something like share button dot add event listener. So we are listening to the click event. And for the second parameter, let's give the function name share selected text. But as you can see, I haven't created that function name share selected text. So let's create that function. So now with the help of this code, as soon as when you click any specific social icon, it will trigger the function name share selected text. So within that function, first of all, let's create constant variable URL, and I'm assigning window.location.href. So with the help of this code, you will be able to get the current URL or location of our browser. And also let's store that selected text. As you can see, we have already stored the text within our selected text variable. So again, I'm creating constant variable text, and I'm assigning selected text. Now I want to show you something in the console. So for that, I'm writing console.log. If I write this.alt, and in your browser, if I click any specific social media icon, did you see that? You will be able to get specific social media name. So now instead of that console.log, we'll use the switch statement, and let's give the first case. I'm giving case Facebook. I think before that, let's create another variable share URL, and as soon as when you get the case Facebook, let's assign that share URL to, I'm giving the backtick again. Within that, you can write www.facebook.com/sharer.php. If I give question mark, u is equal to $ curly bracket. Within that, I'm giving URL, that URL variable where we have stored our current browser location. And also I need to give their protocols as well. So let's give https:// and also let's give that break keyword. Just below that, let's give the another case. Let's keep the case for our Twitter. Again, in case of Twitter, assign different URL for our shared URL variable. Again, in order to save some time, I'm just copying this code and pasting there. So for our Twitter, if you give their tweet question mark, URL is equal to, I'm using their $ curly bracket URL. And if you want to share that selected text, for that I'm giving their ampersand text is equal to $ curly bracket. Let's pass that text variable where we have stored their selected text. Actually, we are passing all the text within our URL, but they do have their own way of representing characters. So for that, you can wrap all this code within the encode URI component function, and let's do same thing for our URL as well. Once again, let's give the break keyword. Now let's select this code and duplicate it. Let's give the case for our Reddit. So once again, you need to change all these links. For Reddit, I'm giving the submit question mark. URL is equal to, we are giving same URL. And for our text, instead of that text, you can change it to title. And once again, you can select this code and duplicate it. Now for our WhatsApp, again, we need to change that URL. Now instead of that URL, let's change that URL to text. You can remove this code. You can give their %20, and along with that, we are passing the URL. And for the last time, let's duplicate this code. Let's give the case for our DuckDuckGo search engine. So you can change that URL to duckduckgo.com, and you can give their /? q is equal to $ curly bracket text. And also we don't need this code, you can remove that. So now with the help of this URL, you will be able to search any specific selected text within your DuckDuckGo search engine. But if you want to search within your Google Chrome, then you can write something like google.com/search, and rest code is same. So don't worry, all these URL that I have used here for different case, all this code will be given in the video's description. You can check out, you can just copy, okay? So we have changed our share URL value based on our different social media. Now for the last time, in order to open that URL within our new window, you can write something like window.open. Within this method, for the first parameter, you can pass the URL. So I'm passing their share URL variable. And for the second parameter, you can give the target. I'm giving _blank. So now with the help of this code, you will be able to open your new window targeting that share URL. So for the last time, if I select this text and if I click WhatsApp, you see that now you just need to log into your account and you're ready to share. What about Reddit? Okay, it is working perfectly fine. How about Twitter? Okay, for our Twitter, it's not working. Oh, I have forgot to give their www. So just keep there. And now if I click that Twitter icon, yeah, it's working completely fine. How about that Facebook icon? Okay, it is working. And once again, if I select this website text, if I want to search with DuckDuckGo search engine, now you will be able to search that specific text. So that's all for today. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you did learn something, smash that like button. If you have any kind of queries, let me know in the comment box. Share this video if you think someone needs it. And also, if you haven't already hit that subscribe button and also the notification bell icon. Remember, there is always more to learn, so keep learning.